Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin with a simple question. A question so small and quiet, it often goes unheard in the chaos of our minds. But if we really sit with it, if we listen closely, it has the power to change the way we live. What's the worst that can happen? You see, we live in a world that's constantly whispering fear into our ears. What if I lose my job? What if I fail the test? What if I get rejected or embarrassed or left behind? We walk through our days carrying invisible burdens, worries about things that haven't even happened and may never happen at all. But fear, my friends, fear is a trickster. It's a master of disguise. It doesn't show up as a monster at the door, no. It's more subtle than that. It shows up as hesitation, as overthinking, as stress and sleepless nights. Now let me tell you a story. A man named Chris came to me once. He worked in a psychiatric hospital, a kind man, a father of two, and he was afraid, terrified really, that he was about to lose his job. Budget cuts, layoffs, the whispers in the hallway. You could feel the tension hanging in the air. Chris looked at me and said, "I really like my job. I don't want to lose it." Of course he didn't. None of us do. But I asked him gently, "What's the worst that can happen?" He paused. Then he said, "I could lose my job." I nodded. "And?" "Well, I'd have to go find another one." Again I nodded. "And is that such a terrible thing?" He laughed just a little and said, "No, not really. I've found jobs before, and I'm good at what I do." You see, just by speaking it aloud, the fear began to lose its grip. Fear thrives in silence. It grows in the shadows of what if. But when you shine a light on it, when you ask the question, what's the worst that can happen? You begin to see. It's often not so bad after all. In fact, many of our fears, when held up to the light, reveal themselves to be no more than phantoms, thoughts, projections, stories passed down from other people's worries. Chris admitted something beautiful that day. He said, "I think it's the paranoia of my co-workers. They're scared. They make me scared." Ah, yes. Fear is contagious, but so is courage. You see, we catch our fears from others, parents, co-workers, society, just like we catch a cold. But here's the good news. We can also choose not to carry them. We can return them to sender. Now let's slow down and think about you. Yes, you, sitting here listening to this. Is there something in your life right now that feels uncertain? Maybe you're worried about money or love or your future. Maybe a part of you is holding its breath, waiting for disaster. Pause. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Now really, truly walk through it. What if you lose the job? You'll search again. What if the relationship ends? You'll feel pain, but you've survived heartbreak before. What if the plan doesn't work out? Another path will appear, as it always does. You have already survived your worst days. You are still here. We like to believe we are in control. We plan, we predict, we prepare. But the truth is, life is wild, unpredictable, and wonderfully free. Trying to control every detail of life is like trying to catch the wind in your hands. You will only exhaust yourself. You'll grow anxious, bitter, tired. But when you let go, when you stop resisting the uncertainty, you begin to dance with it. You stop being the frightened swimmer thrashing in the ocean, and you become the surfer riding the wave. You see, fear says, "What if I fall?" But presence says, "Yes, but what if you fly?" The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. And that is what I invite you to do. So next time life throws something unexpected your way, remember Chris. Remember his laughter, when he realized the monster in the closet was just a coat hanging in the dark. Ask yourself again and again, what's the worst that can happen? And then go a little further. What if it turns out better than you imagined? Because here is the truth. You are far more capable than you think. You are stronger than you give yourself credit for. You have survived every worst day up until now, and you will survive this one too. So breathe. Let go of the illusion that you must control everything. Let go of the stories others told you about fear. Let go of the noise that tells you you're not enough. And instead, choose presence, choose peace, choose to live fully, not fearfully. Because in the end, the question is not, what if I fail? The real question is, what if you never try? Thank you. Let that question sit with you today. Not to provoke fear, but to liberate you from it. Because what's the worst that can happen is often not that bad at all. And what's the best that can happen? Well, that's where the magic begins. Let's continue with a curious idea. One that may seem strange at first, but if you sit with it for just a moment, it begins to make sense. What if imagining something is nearly as powerful as doing it? What if, by simply picturing an event in your mind, your brain starts to believe it's already happened? You see, the mind is a marvelous trickster. It cannot always tell the difference between something real and something vividly imagined. If you think about it, that's quite remarkable. When you imagine something terrifying, your palms sweat, your heart races, your stomach tightens. Why? Because the brain doesn't wait for proof. It reacts to your thoughts. And those reactions ripple through your body like waves on a pond. Now, most people fear this power. They worry about what could go wrong. They rehearse disaster in their minds without even meaning to. But what if we used this ability on purpose? What if we chose to visualize things before they happen? Not just the joyful things, but the difficult ones too. And I don't mean this as some self-help cliche. No, I mean it as a tool, a spiritual tool. A way to understand life deeply. To see it with clarity before it even unfolds. Let me give you an example. There's a boxer, perhaps you've heard of him. Floyd Mayweather Jr., undefeated, a master of the ring. But his greatest strength, perhaps, was not his fists. It was his mind. Before each fight, Floyd would visualize, not just the victory. He would walk through every round in his head. The rhythm, the movement, the pace. He saw the fight before it happened. He felt it. He lived it in his imagination. And so, when the moment came, it felt like déjà vu. He had already been there. He wasn't surprised by success because he had already experienced it within. After his fight with Manny Pacquiao in 2015, one of the most anticipated fights of the century, Mayweather said calmly, "I knew I had him from round one." He didn't need to hope for victory. He had seen it. Now this may sound strange to some of you. You may be thinking, but isn't that unrealistic? Isn't that pretending? No, it's not pretending. It's preparing. Visualization is not about fantasy. It's about familiarity. It is the sacred rehearsal of your own becoming. You do not visualize to control the outcome. You visualize to become comfortable with it, so that when the time comes, you are not paralyzed by shock, but guided by recognition. Here's the deeper part, and this is where most people get stuck. We only want to visualize positive things: success, applause, achievement, the highlight reel. But what if I told you you should also visualize failure? That's right. Not because it's fun, not because you want it to happen, but because by seeing the worst, you remove its power. The moment you look fear in the eye and say, "I have seen you before," you are no longer its victim. You become the observer. You rise above the story and you say to yourself, "Even if this happens, I will still be me." Visualization is how you make peace with life's uncertainty. It's how you say, no matter what happens, I've already been there in my mind. You see, when we visualize the worst, it no longer startles us. It no longer hijacks us. Instead of resisting life, you begin to flow with it. Let me offer this simple practice. Each morning, take just 5 minutes, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and walk through your day before it begins. Visualize the good, yes, of course, but also visualize the moments that may go wrong, the conversation that may be difficult, the delay, the mistake, the rejection, and then see yourself respond with grace. See yourself not crumbling, but standing tall, rooted, calm, clear. You are not visualizing disaster. You are rehearsing resilience, and you are building trust, not in the outcome, but in your ability to meet it. Here is the great paradox of visualization. The moment you accept that something might go wrong, you free yourself to do it anyway. Because the truth is, you don't need certainty. You just need readiness. So whether you're preparing for a job interview, a performance, a breakup, or even the quiet fear of an uncertain future, visualize it, feel it, walk through it, now while you are safe, so that later when it comes, you will not flinch. You'll smile, you'll say, "Ah, yes. I know this moment, I've already met it before." My friends, the future is not something we control, but it is something we can prepare our spirit for. And the visualization is how we do that. It's not magic, it's not manipulation. It's simply a practice of being present, even in moments that haven't happened yet. So don't fear what might come, just see it, welcome it, walk toward it with eyes wide open, because once you accept what may come, you're finally free to shape what will.